Welcome to the Gems
Welcome.
Podcast with, oh, there you go. Welcome to the Gems Podcast with Shom, a show about beat digging, records, and other things. Today, I'm joined by Nashiem Myrick, key member of the Bad Boy Hitman Collective, the man behind classic productions for, are you ready? Notorious B.I.G, Nas, Capone-N-Noreaga, Lil Kim, Deluxe, Prodigy, Black Rob, Busta Rhymes, Method Man, and R&B greats like Mary J. Blige, Total Usher, Faith Evans. It goes on.
It goes on.
I like to call him your favorite producer's favorite producer, a hell of a guy. Thank you for joining me, brother.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting me be here.
All right. Many may know you as a hit-making producer. I see you as a true beat digger, a lover of music with an incredible ear.
Right.
You've created your own classics, and you're a collaborator. You collaborate very well with a crew too, yourself
Right.
and with a group.
Right.
You're a fascinating guy to talk to, and I knew we'd have a lot to talk about.
Right.
You grew up in Queens, right?
Yeah. Jamaica, Queens, born and raised.
Tell me about your life growing up there.
Jamaica, Queens. That's the land where Trump's from.
That's not what I would have thought of, but you're right.
We're born in the same hospital, in fact. But Jamaica, Queens, a lot of hip hop comes from Jamaica, Queens. You got LL, Run DMC. Clue grew up around the corner from me.
Sick.
The list goes on and on. And even before hip hop, the jazz greats were from St. Albans, which is part of Jamaica, Queens. That's the next town over from me. So it's a lot of great musical tradition in this neighborhood. He said Nicki Minaj.
Okay.
Wow. The list goes on and on. And Jamaica, Queens it was kind of rough for me growing up because in the 80s, that's when crack came out and hit New York City, and Jamaica, Queens was ground zero for that, But luckily, my passion was music. Even though I dabbled in the streets, my passion was music, and I stuck with that.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
You got into professional production very early in life. How did it start so early for you?
Well, my father, which wasn't my biological father, but he adopted me. So he married my mother. He was into music heavily. He had a big record collection. He was a DJ back in the 70s. So I grew up with him. We moved he was in the Army. So we moved with him to Maryland, Silver Springs, Maryland, for like a couple of years. He brought me a drum set because he seen my interest so much in music. And I would just sit around and play his records. And he had records from everywhere. I mean, Led Zeppelin to the OJs to whatever genre. And I would read the Lanier notes at an early age. I was like 7 years old, and that's how I started reading. I read the Lanier notes in the records. And that's what got me started into music heavily and into record.
That explains a lot because you're a sample heavy producer. You're a beat digger. And maybe it gave you some early exposure to that world.
And he eventually gave over that library of all his records to me. And that's where I got most of my samples from.
That makes sense. I mean, you were on making great records as a teenager. I think that helps. It doesn't teach you how to do it. It gives you some encouragement.
Right.
All right. Now, you went to high school where?
I went to Benjamin Cardozo and Andrew Jackson.
Did you meet other people there that were of the same mind, also into hip hop?
Yes, one person who passed away, my lawyer, for many years when I started in the industry, Ed Woods. And he had and my man Don Davidson, they were partners. They had a rap group called Vitamin A, Vitamin D. And they actually had a record out in high school. And that inspired me so much also. And we befriended each other in high school, and that took us a long life. And when I became a producer, he became my lawyer. He went in a whole different direction. Ed Woods became my lawyer, and that was a great combination because I could trust him. I knew him from day one. He's a childhood friend of mine. And he taught me the business. One of the most important people in my career. So yeah, these people, some people that I met, I kept close to me, like him.
It seems like you had a good early influence of people around you that help you with your music career.
Yeah, for some reason it worked out that way. It wasn't planned.
Yeah. Yeah. So, when did you transition to working with the Bad Boy Crew?
So back in I say 86, I meet up with Harv Pierre. Harv Pierre wa- ended up being an executive at Bad Boy. He had cousins on my block, so he used to come and hang out on my block. We formed a rap group along with our other friend Dave Abraham called Sticks and Stones. And that became our journey. That started our journey. Harv ended up going to Howard University. So did Dave, but Harv befriended a fellow by the name of Sean Combs.
I heard of him.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. And he moved Sean Combs in with him because Puff, people called him Puffy, didn't have a place to stay at the time. So he invited him in and he lived with him. So that became a friendship. I, being a friend of Harv, would go down to Howard every weekend just to hang out. Plus, I'm 2 years younger than Harv. So I'm 16 going to college. I mean, that was a great experience to me, right? And it's Howard
Yeah.
at the time. So it's a great experience for me because I went to community college. I didn't get to go away to college, but through Harv vicariously, I was going to Howard. And that's where I met Puff. And we formed a friendship because of music. One thing led to another. Puff gets the internship at Uptown. We stay in touch. I'm working with him with his artist, Father MC, whoever, and then the Bad Boy situation starts, and that follows along. The relationship follows along to there.
We're talking hip hop history. What was your role and who else was around?
At Bad Boy,
Yeah, when you first started.
yeah. So first there was Mark Pitts, which is Usher's manager, a whole bunch of people's manager. But Mark Pitts had a label also. But Mark Pitts was his assistant at Uptown, so he normally followed him to Bad Boy once he got his label deal. Mark brings in Harv. Harv brings in me. I served the role as Puff's studio hand at the time. Now the track masters were supposed to be the studio taking care of the studio managers, let's say, and I was to work with them. 2 weeks into the ordeal, when I get there, 2 weeks into it, they have a fallout. Mind you, I'm an intern. I don't know nothing. I don't know how to record or anything. I was supposed to learn from them, but I never got the chance. But Puffers came to me and was like, listen, Trap Master's not here no more. What you gonna do? I'm like, in so many words, I'm gonna do the damn thing. I'm here. You know what I mean? He was like, yeah. And I studied every book I could find in the studio, practice on every equipment until, I felt I was confident enough to go along. And I did. And so I became the studio engineer, studio manager, the production coordinator. I became everything to do because I'm the only one there dealing with Puff as far as the music is concerned. So I'm his left-hand man, so to speak.
What kind of equipment was there at that time? What kind of samplers?
The MPC 60 had came out. There was the SB 1200, the Akai 950, 900, and there was other samplers and stuff, but that's the ones we had in the studio. Then they had ADATs. ADATs was digital DATs, right? That we recorded on instead of reels, because they were more compact. They're having a big reel machine. The audio DATs came out, so we used to record on audio DATs and transfer that to the big reels once we got to the big studio. So most of the stuff you hear from the Mary J. Blige, all of the Mary J. Blige stuff, the TLC stuff we did, the Usher stuff, the Biggie stuff, all was recorded on ADAT. It did transfer it over to the big reels, which I don't know gave it an advantage or not, but it did have a different sound.
Yeah. I don't know if
Right.
there's an advantage, but it made a certain style and a sound to all of those records. It's
Right.
really distinctive and you can associate it with that crew.
Right.
Yeah. Are we talking Daddy's House Studio or somewhere else?
No, we lived, Puff rented a house. Puff rented a house in Scarsdale where he did the office and the studio out of. So this was Daddy's house. Before Daddy's house was built, this was Daddy's house equipment. This was a MIDI room. The MIDI room existed before the studio. So this was actually Daddy's house before Daddy's house was actually a foundation, a brick and mortar, to say.
So you mentioned some of the artists who were around, who were part of that sound. Can you tell me about the first one or two artists that really started working heavily in the studio?
The artists were the producers. That's who I worked with. And that would be the late, great Chucky Thompson, my brother from another, and Rashard Smith, which was he was in a duo. He was in a group called Tumbling Dice. I forget his partner's name, but Rashard Smith and Chucky Thompson is who I worked with directly. Then, Big will come through. Frank Mack will come through. Total, I would have in the studio working on demos before the album. And, Puff always had outside projects. So we was doing Shabba Ranks. We was doing Anita Baker.
Really?
Yeah. Anita Baker. Yeah, Rashard, I recorded it, but Rashard and Puff actually produced a Anita Baker remix. We had her in the studio. I got to meet her. That was phenomenal. I spent a day with her.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's things like that. I'm straight off the block right now. Imagine that, straight off the block, going into the studio with Anita Baker, Shabba Ranks, Mary J. Blige, you know?
That's amazing. I like just kind of like living in that for a moment? Because you're a pretty young person, and all this seemed to happen kind of fast to this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't seem that way at the time, but yeah, now that you look back, it's like a blink of an eye.
I was jogging my memory on some of these things that happened in the early 90s, and the date that Ready to Die, Biggie's first album, 1994, Mary J. Blige, My Life, 1994. Both huge records at that time and are classics today. You had a big hand in these records. And
Yeah,
how was it
so
working with them?
so my job was everything. Production, it ultimately led to, but producing, programming was a big one. Finding the samples. Puff would have samples in his head. I would have to go out and find them records. I knew the records, so that was easy. Recording, mixing, all that I did. When Puff couldn't get there, like the first joint I mixed was Dreams of fucking an R&B bitch. Dreams. That's the first joint I mixed. Puff couldn't mix it. He had things to do. He said, I gotta have to mix by tomorrow. I need you to go mix it. That's the first joint I ever mixed. So that's on record.
That's wild.
So yeah, I did all that. I did everything. Whatever I had to do, I did.
You said Puff had records in his head and you'd go find them. Would these be like records that he thinks the crew should sample, or is he giving you a vibe? What was it like?
Yeah, it's joints he wanted to use.
Okay. Okay.
So I would go out like the Isaac Hayes record. I forget the name of it, but it's the I Love You, Mary J.
Ike's
Blige, I Love You.
Ike's theme, the record with the puzzle.
Yeah, I think it was Ike's thing.
Yeah.
I think it was Ike's thing. It was on that album, but yeah, I think it was Ike's thing. Yeah. So I had to, go out find that. And that's just an example, but things like that. Big Papa, the Isley Brothers joint, he has his own library in his head and history of music that he grew up with, that he samples. My job was to go out, get it, program it, loop it up, or help produce it.
People must ask you about this all the time, but I don't think I'd be doing my job as an interviewer asking you about the Mary J. Blige My Life intro and Who Shot You.
Puff comes to me and says, listen, I need a hip hop joint. I guess he's trying to tell me, this is a way you can play a bigger part on this album. I need a hip hop joint, put Keith Murray on it. You know what I'm saying? An interlude. I'm like, all right, got you. So one day I get some time and I go do this record that I always wanted to, listen to and study. I'm Afraid the Masquerade is Over, David Porter. And I go through the record and man, I hear this piano riff. And then I'm like, it's open and I can catch this in a way where I can loop it continuously and and I can make it special. I can make it special. If you listen to the original and you listen to mine, it's a little bit of difference. I extended it. Wow, boom. So I do it. And I'm listening to it. I'm like, oh, if this ain't the interlude, this is something.
It's something.
Yeah. So Chuck comes in the studio. We're at the power station at the time. We leave. We were at the Hit Factory. We're at the power station at the time. And this is before Daddy's house. But the mini room is at the power station. And Chuck comes in and it's like, wow. He's like, whoa, who's that for? I'm like, that's for Mary for the Keith Murray interlude. So he must goes back and tells Puff because Puff comes in like a couple hours later with Andre Harrell. And it's like I heard Chuck said you got a joint I need to hear. So I play it for him, and him and Andre's just like, yeah, that's it. You know, and then Puff is introducing me to Andre. Yes, my man Nash. Da, 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 da. You know, I guess he's proud of me now. That's my man Nash. He did this. He helped me with this, a whole album, blah, 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 blah.
You're getting props now.
Yeah. Puff is loving me now. So we get Keith Murray in, and he does his thing. He actually does a verse. Then he breaks out. I guess Puff wanted him to do a whole song just to have it, but you know, he did a verse. Puff was like, damn, you shouldn't let him leave. I was like, I can't hold him. Can't hold him. You know, so what am I gonna do? Chain myself to him? But he brings LL in that night. Because it has to be done that weekend. Because we have to hand it in on that Monday. The album's done. LL's writing to it. I'm in the studio with them. LL's actually writing to it. Then Puff comes to me and say, yo, go find your man Big. I need him on this. Well, it's not going to make the album. I go find Big. Big comes to the studio. And soon as Big hears it, he's like, I'm not going nowhere. And he had to leave that morning. He had a flight that morning, I remember. He stayed the studio the whole night until the morning time and went straight from the studio to his flight. And he killed it. But he said something, and I don't know where, because I listened to the DAT. It's not on the DAT, but he says something like, I leave you leaking like Michael Jordan's pops. I remember this, and I was like, man, you can't put that on there. It's for Mary. It's not going to fly. He's like, I'm leaving it. Well, whatever situation it was, I never heard the actual verdict why it didn't make the album, but it did make the promo album. So the promo release goes out with it on there. And that's how people have it now, heard it. But it didn't make the album. And the Puff's like, listen, we're just gonna make a single. We go in and make the single, the rest is history.
When I first heard this song, I was a very close follower of everything that was happening in hip hop and all of the music that kind of came out of Biggie, everything. And I grew up in Toronto, and a friend of mine bought a mixtape, S&S, and
Right. I think SNS had it on his mixtape.
right. And that's where I
Yeah,
heard it with Keith Murray first. And when I
yeah.
heard Keith Murray come in, I was like, oh shit, how did that come out? Like, where's that in the timeline?
The Keith Murray?
Yeah, like it was released on that mixtape.
Yeah. So SNS was a good friend of ours, and we used to give him joints to break, like throwaway joints. We used to give him. So that's how he caught that one, and we gave him the Keith Murray version because the interlude only has a bit of the Keith Murray verse, but we gave him the whole verse, and that's how that was leaked.
He spazzed out on that. I mean, yeah. I mean, you were
Yeah,
there with him, so you saw
yeah, I was
it.
there. He spazzed. And he didn't even write. He didn't really write to it. He just went in and despaired.
He's talented. I like him.
Yeah, Keith is talented.
Yeah.
That's my dude.
So this is your life. I can give a very small story about my experience. So I had this mixtape, right? I played it every day, and I was a teenager. And there was a Biggie concert in Toronto. And I somehow went with a friend and stayed at their cousin's house, and we went into the city to this concert. And these concerts were pretty rough at the time. There wasn't a lot of security. It was super thugged out. I mean, a lot of people getting arrested, a lot of fights, people getting stabbed. And I'm like a few feet away from Biggie, who's performing on the ground. Like there's no stage. And people are just fighting and he's rapping and he's like literally pushing people off him and
Wow.
screaming the lyrics. And he goes, "Are you ready for this one? This is my new shit." And he starts rapping this verse. And, I'm a fan and I'm rapping it back while I'm like getting thrown around. And it was such an amazing experience. There's actually like footage of this online. And it is the most wild concert. I mean, I don't even know how they let that happen. And whenever I think of this song that you made, I think of that crazy experience.
Wow. Well, back then he was just starting. So, I mean, after that, he had better security and he wouldn't do shows that didn't have a better setup. But yeah, I can see how that could happen.
That should never happen. But
That should never happen, but I can see how. I can see how.
yeah, I mean, he could have left, but he's kind of a tough dude.
He's from Brooklyn.
Yeah, he's not scared of shit.
New York, we put up with a lot more. I mean, people shooting. All right. I've been to places where people have gotten shot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah,
So fighting, hey, that's a blessing.
yeah, yeah. He kept rapping. All right. This era of where you're working with this group went on for many years, and you branched out to work with other artists, both within the kind of crew and outside, right? I mean, you were getting very popular yourself at the time. Tell me about the next few years of your life.
Well, after I made my mark at Bad Boy, like you said, other people started reaching out. Traj comes to me and says, "Listen, I got this remix for Super Cat. I want you to produce."
We're talking Tragedy Gaddafi, right?
Gaddafi. He was working with I forget her name. My God, why? How can I forget her name? But he was working with I think Atlantic Records at the time. I think it was Atlantic. I guess he was at A&R or something. But he had a Super Cat record he wanted a remix for. So I actually did the remix. He liked it, but it wasn't professional enough, right? That fell through, but he was like, "Listen, I still want you to work with me. I got a group I'm about to sign, and I want you to produce for them." And that was CNN. So we went ahead and we worked on their album, which turned into T.O.N.Y and Driver's Seat, me and Carlos Brody. Um, Also, I was introduced to Nas at a Chucky meeting. Chucky had a meeting with Nas. He brought me along at the label, Sony. So he brought me along and he played Who Shot Ya. That's when Who Shot Ya had just came out. He played Who Shot Ya. He had me play Who Shot Ya for Nas. That's how I actually was introduced to Nas. Then later on, Steve Stout, which grew up in my hood. We know each other from the hood as children. He brought me along to work on the Nas project. So other people started reaching out to me, because they see my work at Bad Boy and they admired it.
I'll pause on one of those records you mentioned, T.O.N.Y, a New York classic. I always like that song, and some of the most thugged out people I know, that's their favorite song. It's like a club banger. It like makes people go off.
It's hard. It's hard.
I think it was a great combination, you working with them. It was an early sign of the star that Noreaga would go on to be.
Yes, yes, definitely.
First big hit.
Driver's Seat also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big up to Carlos.
Yeah. Tell me about that partnership. I mean, I feel like you did a lot of good work. You had a good chemistry with him. Tell me about Carlos Brody and your experience working with him.
So Carlos Bolden came to me from a friend. He had his demo. He played me his demo, and I was like, and this friend, my man June Balloon, he would play me a lot of demos. I would turn them down, but this one, no denying. I was like, get in touch with this dude. Get in touch with him. And he sends me a few joints. I play a few joints for Big. Big ends up taking one of the joints, and that becomes Queen Bitch. All right. So I bring Carlos Brody in to New York, and I have him stay at my grandmother's house where I was living at the time. This is early in my career. I have him take my room. My peoples, my peoples were so, they're not with me no more, but they were so heavenly. They welcomed him in like he was family, took care of him. So I come to the crib the next day to pick him up to go to the studio. And this is going to bug you out. We have the family portraits on the piano. We had a piano in the living room, in the living room. And the family portraits was on the piano. And he's looking at the family portraits. And I'm like, why is this nigga looking at my family portraits? Like he knows somebody. He was like, that's Miss Bennett. So I'm like, that's Miss Bennett. Yeah, that's my Aunt Joe Bennett. Not thinking my Aunt Joe is out in Tennessee. Norfolk is in Memphis, Tennessee. And my uncle's a Supreme Court judge out in Memphis, Tennessee. But I'm not putting it together at the time. I'm like, how the hell you know my aunt? He's like, that's my fourth grade teacher.
Wow.
I'm like, what?
What are the chances?
Where's the chances of this?
Plus, he's in your home. Not everyone brings people to their home.
Yeah. He's in my home. He sees the picture. He say, that's my fourth grade teacher, Miss Bennett. I called my aunt. I was like, you know Carlos Brody? She said, yeah, I know Carlos. She had a little nickname for him. I forget. I was like, wait, hold on for a second. Put them on the phone. It's like they're long lost friends. I'm like, this is crazy, I guess it was meant to be, man. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, it shows something about you. First of all, you bring him into your home without knowing him very well.
I had just met him.
That's something. Whenever you talk about your background and your family, it has a lot to do with music. It feel like it's part of your love for music. And I think that's great. So one thing that I always say about you and the crew at that time, and maybe is more popular in the 90s than it is today, is production groups and people collaborating together and making a lot of great work that went on for years. A lot of hits that were very popular on the radio and good. And it was a reminder that popular music can be dope.
Yes. That's why it's popular.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it wasn't catering to anything. It was just good. It was so good it was popular. Right? Tell me about some of the other members of the Hitman. There's Derek D. Dot, Ron Amen Ra, Chucky Thompson, who you mentioned, Stevie J,
Okay,
Mario.
let me tell you a story about Stevie.
Go on.
So my cousins are from Southampton. A lot of my family is from Southampton, New York. That's out in Long Island. If anybody knows of the term the Hamptons, that's the Hamptons, Southampton. Bridgehampton, Southampton, East Hampton. They move out to Buffalo when they're children. Growing up, as I'm in the music and they learn that I'm in the music, they're in the music. They're like, nah, we're in a group. I got my man Stevie, da 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 da. And for years, he's telling me about this guy Stevie. So one day, Puff comes to me and Dot in the office. It's like I'm putting together a group called the Hitmen, and I want you, Nash, D. Dot Nash, and I got this new cat. His name is Stevie J. He just did the remix with Jodeci and Ghostface and Raekwon. We was like, we knew that remix.
Freaking You remix.
Freaking You remix.
Killer remix. That was amazing. Okay. Amazing.
Crazy. So we was like, so we thinking, okay, we ain't never knew who did it. He, you know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't part of the group. So we was like, okay. We said, yeah, he could play 7 instruments. He's like a Stevie Wonder, but he could see. I was like, all right. So Stevie comes to the office one day. I meet him. Puff introduces me to him. Then we meet at the studio. So when I walk in the studio, Stevie and my cousin's in the studio. I'm like, the fuck is my cousin doing here? He was saying, yo, Nash, this is the Stevie I've been telling you about for all these years.
Crazy.
Stevie J grew up with my cousins in Buffalo. How crazy is that?
I mean, there's something floating around you, Nashiem. I feel like there's all these great coincidences. It can't all be luck.
Yo, I know there's a chance, but goddamn, what the hell is going on? I'm like, wow, unbelievable.
All right. I mean, you've mentioned a lot of these guys. I mean, you were a great team. One guy you didn't mention is Mario Winans.
Now Mario came in later on. So actually, after I left 2000. That's when Mario came on. Really, that's when I was introduced to Mario. Really.
And another, at least from my understanding, you correct me if I'm wrong, Young Lord.
Well, Young Lord was there way before the Hitman was even together. Puff managed him. Harv brought him into the situation. My man Harv. And Young Lord was like 15, 14, 15 when he got with us. I used to engineer sessions, and this was way back. This is way back. This is back in 94. This is back in 94. Young Lord got down. So yeah, big up to Young Lord too. Buck Wild became a hitman also.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. Buck Wild became a hitman after I left. Buck Wild became a hitman also.
That's how Woe happened, right?
I don't know if that's how Woe happened. He had a relationship with Rob already, but he became a hitman afterwards. Yeah. I wish I was actually there when Buck Wild became a hitman because me and him, wow, I think I could have been a better producer somehow, just having him around me.
He is a legend on his own. He's got his
Yeah,
own,
he did Digger.
yeah, big time DITC beat digging legend. Black Rob being central to the bad boy camp. That song is one of my favorite songs of all time. It's such
Yeah,
a banger and it's unbelievable chemistry.
yeah. Buck he got a whole list of bangers though.
Yeah. 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 He's a legend. So how was the working style with the Hitmen? Did you kind of collaborate all at the same time? Did you go back and forth? What was the vibe around that?
Yeah, we collaborated. That's how I was introduced to producing with Puff. Puff was a collaborator. You know, he didn't play any instruments, so he had to. So my first, my first visual of production was him collaborating with Chucky and, others and Poke from the Trackmasters. And so that's how I learned how to produce by collaborating. And that was the key to our success really, because in-house we had players that could do everything, but we all had our significant role. So combined, we could do whatever. We could do everything, anything, you know, combined. So, it was most evident for us to collaborate.
I think it shows a lot about you guys because it's like you're describing the Avengers. Everyone has their own superpowers.
Right. But together, when you come together,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that shows something. I mean, you guys did something great together that went on for many years. It's not always like that. People don't always want to do that.
Well, we thought of ourselves as the Yankees, you know. D Dot was Sparky Lau. We called ourselves Sparky La. We named Stevie the Iron Horse, Lou Garrett the Iron Horse, because he batted cleanup. He used to come after we would deliver the song. He would clean it up with his tremendous play. You know, Puff was Jackie Robinson, which wasn't a Yankee, but he was the leader. And I was El Capitan, Derek Jeter.
Okay. You're getting all the
I
gold.
named myself, at first I was Willie Star Child, but I'm El Capitan.
Okay. Probably helps with the ladies too.
I don't need help with the ladies.
One thing I find unusual, I mean, we've spoken a few times. I'm always surprised who relates to who gets along with who. At that time, famously, this group, Bad Boy and Notorious B.I.G, were involved in beef. What was your relationship in terms of music with the West Coast? People like Corrupt, Snoop Dogg.
Well, you know what? We didn't involve ourselves in that. You know, Pac and Big were friends at one time. You know, unfortunately, that situation at Unique, I think it was, you know, it was unfortunate. But the cast that Pac rode with and who was with him that day he got shot at, well, it's a Quad. It was Quad. It was Quad Studios. Those was actually my peoples from the block. They from my hood. We used to hustle on the same block of Stretch, you know, Live Squad, Young Gun. And even they had a falling out with Pac. Pac was on a whole different mission. We never thought that had anything to do with us. That was his problem, not our problem. Why make his problem our problem? We got enough problems, right? So yeah, it seemed like a beef, but it was one-sided. We didn't really have a beef with him. We stayed out of that turmoil.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I feel like everyone said enough about this. We don't have to dwell on it too much longer. I mean, there's so many good things to talk about in your life. Yeah. So what happened next? You mentioned, we kind of went from the mid 90s to around 2000. You said you left the Hitman.
Yeah.
What were you doing after that musically? What excited you?
I wasn't doing much after that. Things had slowed down when I left. People were scared to touch me. And I'll go into that at a later time in life. I don't think right now is a good time seeing, you know, put it like this. I don't want to put no more heat on my man than he already. Let him live through what he's going through. And then I'll tell my story because it may be in conflict with him, right? But I give him that. I respect what he did for me. So let me not make the situation any worse on him. Let him deal with he got enough on his table right now. That can wait.
I mean, you did so much work as a producer, but also you were an engineer. Tell me about that part of you. Maybe less talked about, maybe less glamorous than being a hit maker, a hitman. Tell me about some of the work you did there.
Yeah, as an engineer. Yeah, as an engineer. Well, I recorded the whole Marry My Life album except like 2 songs. So imagine that. That was my first project. So imagine that. That's my first time engineering, and I get to work on a whole album, then a multi-platinum album with a multi-platinum artist, a historic album. Even at the time, it was historic, you know? She just got off of the My Life, not the My Life, the 411. I also recorded the 411 remix album, most of that at the same time. We did that.
She's a superstar. She's a definition of a real soul singer.
Right.
Huge personality, too. I mean, she's a star for a reason. Great performer. You're a young person. You're engineering. I'm sure you're observing a lot while someone's putting out this classic work. How was it personality wise for you?
Me and Mary clicked. Well, we from the same type of environment. So of course, I'm not gonna say I was never intimidated because I was a fan of hers first. My family was fans of her. My aunt, my moms, my grandmoms, my cousins, my friends. But I learned I had to be a professional and not be in awe of no one, not just Mary, of no one immediately. Because working with Puff, you're gonna be amongst the greatest of the great. So I had to cut nip that in the bud. And I'm not built that way anyway. But, I got to learn a lot on that project. Puff gave me the go ahead to experience a lot on that project as far as working is concerned. He gave me the freelance ability to do whatever. Even it's a song on the My Life album called Mary's Joint. Now that's not supposed to be the name of the song. But I used to name the songs before they had names because I had to catalog them, the tracks and the songs before they were songs, actual songs with titles. So before they had titles, I used to have to give them titles. That one slipped through. That was just a joint I just named Mary's Joint. It was Mary's Joint 1, Mary's Joint 2. That one slipped through. So I actually named the song on the album, now along with everything else. I mean, I got to participate on that album fully, the capacity from production to project manager to A&R to programmer to mixer. I mean, incredible experience.
Sounds like you might have had to manage a lot in terms of personalities too. I mean, you have huge producers coming in, you have a famous singer, a lot of people around that. I mean, you had to get the job done no matter what.
Yeah, so what you do is let the artist be the artist. Don't try to don't try nothing overbearing. Don't come in with ego when they're the star. Let them be the star. Sometimes the arrogance is what makes them special. If they're arrogant, it's
I think
not
that's
gonna
fair.
hurt you. You gotta be a bigger and stronger person.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about you. Firstly, you're a New Yorker. You're not
Yeah.
really scared of shit. And you're a music guy. So you kind of respect that at your core, right? So I feel like it was a good recipe for a great project. And I would say, first of all, it's a very good album. It's very popular. I don't have to be the one to tell you that. But the sound quality and the mixing is very high. And it achieved a certain sound using samples and instrumentation and vocals. So it didn't sound old. It sounded just right.
And see, Puff would use Grammy award-winning mixologists to mix the album. And these guys was mixing like Rolling Stones albums and Sting albums, not just R&B. They was mixing the most popular pop albums at the time. Tony Maserati, Bob Basie Brockman, Prince Charles Alexander. These people are the top cream de la creme of mixologists in the world. And that's who we used to use to mix these albums. So that's why the sound quality was there.
That's amazing. I mean, you were you played a key role in historic music. You've made a lot of great music over the years, and I just want to say you have a unique sound, right? I think that's good to remember at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't understand that. But a lot of you could hear my distinct sound in all my songs, but yet and still I collaborated a lot. But my sound still cut through that collaboration.
Yeah. 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 A long time ago, you and I had drinks somewhere, this place in Midtown. We met like late afternoon, like 5, 6 o'clock, and the DJ is playing good music, like 80s music, right? And we were having a few drinks, maybe a lot of drinks.
Yeah.
I was,
This must have been decades ago.
yeah,
Okay.
2000s,
Because I
right?
don't drink like that no more. I haven't drink like that in a decade or two.
we did at that time. It was unplanned.
Right.
And I was asking you real nerd questions about records. We were talking 80s, we were talking late 70s, disco. You knew everything. And you were talking about some of the other producers you work with. And I go, does Puff know all this? And you're like, he knows 10 times more than you. And I could have stopped laughing because I was like, of course he does. But it was a ridiculous question.
Well, yeah, we were both drunk then.
Yeah, you're always a ball buster, so that's good. It's Queens in you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Queens will do that.
Yeah, it keeps it fun. All right, we're gonna play a game. It's a segment called Drop a Gem on 'em, named after another famous Queens group, Mobb Deep. It's a word association game. You tell me what comes to mind. It can be a feeling, it can be an experience, it can be a story. Tell me what comes to mind. Prince, If I Was Your Girlfriend.
That song I performed. I was in a rap group called The Last Prophets in high school in Benjamin Cardoza. And we performed that at the talent show, the yearly talent show. We did a version of that, but we used that sample. It was the same song. It was called If I Was Your Boyfriend, though.
Makes sense.
And yeah, so that's my memory of that song. Wow.
That is amazing. It's not, I didn't think you were going to say that. I mean, you did work on a TLC record called If I Was Your Girlfriend, which is a remake.
That's a phenomenal record. I mean, wow.
Yeah. One of my all-time favorite songs by one of my all-time favorite artists.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Most Def, The Panties.
I can't remember what that is.
The reason why I asked is you played me some beats once and you made a beat out of this song. It was on his second album and it was a guitar loop that you looped up. I mean, I have no idea if you sold that.
It must have been the same sample.
I think you thought you sampled the Most Def. I wasn't sure. Maybe it was the same sample. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I sampled Most Def because I barely would sample other people, other rappers. I have, but I would barely sample other rappers' work. I usually go straight to the source. I don't even know. I don't even know what the panties sound like right now.
I Love You More and More, Tom Brock. It's a cover where he's wearing a red robe on the album.
Yeah, I have that album.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I forget which song that is.
Yeah.
Who used it? Who used it?
Most Def and you, but I don't think you put it out. I mean, you played many beats.
I used it. I used it on a not, but I didn't publish it.
No, you just played me some beats.
Yeah, I have that. Like I said, I have that album.
Yeah, yeah. You looped it up good.
Yeah, yeah. I know what that is then. Yeah, that whole album is ridiculous. I think that's the same album with Kanye used with Alicia Keys and also a couple more people use. Yeah, that album is wow. That album's going to run you about a couple stacks right now.
Yeah. Well, it's a hot album and heavily sampled.
Heavily sampled and hits.
You brought up Kanye West. Did you ever work with him?
Yeah, we did. We worked on All Your Fault. It's All Your Fault. Big Sean record together. The single. That's a single. That's the only one we worked on. It was a single. And I sent him the track for Blood on the Sleeves. Blood on the Leaves. I sent him that track.
Bro, that is one of my favorite all-time songs. That's like a head bang.
That's Carlos' track, but I had it. They called me and I sent him that track. Carlos didn't even want to send it. I had to talk Carlos into sending that track to him. I had to plead with him. I was like, this is Kanye. I sent him about 5 or 6 tracks, but I was like, yo, I got to include this because this is the one he's going to pick. I sent him that track.
You're good for a reason. That's a classic. And It's such a high energy and unique song. Not only the loop, what he does on it, the drums, it's a banger. It's making everything sound new. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, so yeah, I sent him that. I sent him that track.
All right. Let's take it back to Queens. Mike Geronimo, Master IC remix.
You didn't know I sent him that track? You just had that on your list?
No, I didn't have it on my list. I thought that you might have worked with Kanye. I
Okay.
thought that you did, but maybe it's uncredited.
No. You wouldn't have known that. You wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, I didn't
No
know.
one knows that.
Good thing we're having this show.
Yeah.
Mike Geronimo, Master IC remix.
Yeah. So that comes from my man, the late great Irv Gotti. Again, Irv's a childhood friend of mine, DJ Irv. So Irv, we grew up in the hood together. I was a DJ also in the hood, so we had that in common. But once we got in the industry together basically at the same time, um, you know, we hooked up. Irv used to come pick me up at my grandmother's house and then to MPV and take me to the studio with him at night. I remember that. But yeah, we went in and I did that remix at my grandmother's house in my little studio/bedroom with my first equipment I ever brought. And it became a record. Wow. And that's starring an artist of me and Hall's, Patricia Mildro at the time. Her name was Mildro.
Did Irv Gotti discover Mike Geronimo? Am I right about that?
Yeah.
A lot of great artists out of Queens still today.
Right.
High School High soundtrack and your song with Lil Kim, Queen Bee. Tell me about that. You mentioned it before. I mean,
Yes.
it deserves more time.
So that's a Carlos beat, and I sent it to Big. Of course, I came on, produced on it, but it was initiated by Carlos. Gave it to Big, and Big ended up, writing into it. And then Puff heard Big wanted it, so now Puff wanted it. But I'm like, I'm gonna give that to Big.
It's an incredible track. It's an incredible song. Great production. And it's got this kind of groove to it that's like a little off, right?
It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's incredible. Just leave it as that.
Did Big, I mean, I believe it's out there. Big did a reference verse to that for Lil Kim,
Yeah. Yeah. He
right?
wrote it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the track is different. The bounce is kind of different from the reference to the original track, to the track that's Kim is on. That's just how we heard it. Me and Carlos heard it. And that's how Big heard the track. Even how he's bouncing on it. It still worked.
It worked.
Yeah, it still worked. I remember that session like it was yesterday. On Rivera, he was there. Kim was there. Big was there. Yeah, and that record put me on the map also because that went on the album, but it was heavily rotated on radio. It wasn't a single though, but it was heavily rotated on the radio. And I was supposed to do the first single, No Time for Fake Niggas. I was supposed to do that single, but for some reason I wasn't feeling the sample at that moment. I needed a little more time to get into it. But Puff was rushing and he took that out my hands. But I was supposed to do this for No Time also.
That was a good song. I mean, what ended up being No Time was a good song. Scarface, My Block.
Okay, so that's me and Lee Stone. Lee Stone also did Simon Says.
Oh, crazy. I
Yeah.
thought Pharoah Monch produced it.
Yeah, he did, but Lee Stone co-produced it with him. I don't know about the credits, how the credits read, but I just know Lee Stone helped him out with that. So me and Lee go back to the 80s. We used to do pause tapes together. And Lee Stone actually took my place in my old group, the Last Prophets. And one day, me and Stone used to get together, go to his room in Queens. He had a room upstairs from his parents' house with a studio, and we used to go up there and just create music. We did The Life, Shine up there. We did a few joints up there. But at this particular time, I was looking for something for Jay-Z. Jay-Z needed a track, and he had just came off of, he asked me for a track for his next project. And he had just did the Hard Knock Life album. So I wanted something in that vein. So we came across the MOP record, Downtown Swinger remix, which they used the same sample. But it's like, let us do it our way. Let's do it different. We like the sample. We had the sample. We actually had the original record. So we listened to their version because we didn't want to bump heads with them. And we did our version. So I ended up giving that to my man Conrad. He worked at Bad Boy. Conrad is like a brother of mine. Grew up across the street from me.
He was a industry executive, I recall. I didn't know he produced.
No, he did. He don't really produce, but I gave it to him because he was soliciting my music throughout the industry, and he gave it to Bimmy. Now Bimmy's another friend of mine from the hood. Bimmy worked at Def Jam at the time, and I knew Bimmy for years. Bimmy gets it and gives it to Scarface. Scarface gets it and almost overlooks it. He said he searched back to my CD and he said, "How could I miss this?" And that became my block.
Of all the songs we've mentioned, a lot of it was for people from New York. This is outside of New York. We're now going to Houston. It was a very popular song for a legendary artist. It's good to see.
Yeah, it worked. I mean, yeah, it worked. It's a New York type of groove, right? But he made it his own. And that's a classic out there. That's a classic everywhere.
Yeah. He's a legend and he's got his own ear and it just worked.
Yes, yes. He definitely has an ear. Because that album, The Fix, which that was the only single off that album. Well, the only video came off that album. But that album, if you listen to that album, God, classic album, first of all, and the beat selection is impeccable.
Yeah. Really good beats. And because he could play the bass, he made everything sound like even thicker.
I learned that during our session that he could play the bass because he's actually on the keyboard playing the bass to the my block.
Yeah. It was a good combination. So you're with one group and you're doing great, right? There were other crews in the Queens area that were also famous. What were you thinking at the time about groups like Mobb Deep with the infamous album?
Listen, I was dating their manager at the time, Tammy Combs. That's who introduced me to Mob. This is right before the infamous album. They're working on the infamous album at the time. They didn't even do Shook Ones yet. She brings him to my one Saturday morning. She's like, "I'm bringing him over to your crib." I was at my grandmother's crib. It's early in the career. And she's like, "I want you to take him record shopping." So Prodigy and Havoc, she brings him over. First, I take him down the block to see if Stretching them was up because I wanted them to meet Live Squad niggas because they was actually in the industry already and working, just to have some type of camaraderie.
Are you talking about Stretch Armstrong or who's Stretch?
No, Stretch from the Live Squad.
Okay.
Right. So, boom, we go there. They're not up. So we go to the city. We hit the record spots. I showed them, certain record spots where the artists where us producers go, and then we head back to their crib, right? And they live right in the next town. I didn't even know that. I think Prodigy was staying in the next town over, and Havoc had a setup in the basement. So I taught Havoc a few tricks on a Kai 950, like how to sub the bass. He wanted to know how to how do niggas be subbing the bass. I was like, so I taught him that, and he's perfected it as you see through his career.
Oh, you could sub the bass. I mean,
Yeah,
he made it
yeah.
a
He
style.
made it his own. I just showed him how to actually do it but he took it somewhere else.
Can we pause there? You just realize, I mean, you're teaching a very young person. He went
Yeah,
on to make one of the greatest beats in the history of time. Shook Ones was made through that technique you just explained.
right, right.
Killing me, man.
Yes, yes. But you would never know. You would never know that because no one's going to talk about that. But yeah, I showed them how to sub the bass on the 950. That started our friendship, and we started doing other things in the course of our careers together. Also,
Whenever I ask you a question, I'm always surprised with the answer you give me because you've been around so many interesting things.
yeah, yeah, that comes with time.
Yeah, you're pretty talented too. Okay, let's talk about another famous group from Queens. Let's talk about Tribe Called Quest.
Well, Q-Tip grew up in the neighborhood. He grew up on Linden. I grew up on Springfield. They actually intersect. Q-Tip peoples is my peoples growing up. I didn't know Tip growing up, but I knew all his peoples. And once he got in the industry, we actually heard of each other. So once we did meet, it was like, oh yeah, oh, that's Tip. Yeah, what up, Nosh? You know what I mean? It was like we already knew each other. But when they came out, because I was a big De La fan. I mean, I was plugged through. I was plugged four, right in my head. But when they came out, man, wow. We actually, like I said, I was in a group called Sticks and Stones with Dave and Harv, and they went to Howard, and we did a homecoming one time, a concert. They had a concert, and Tribe was the headliners, and we opened up for them. And that was the low end theory. That's when the low end theory had just came out.
So, I mean, that means you were kind of popular as a group. If you're good enough to open for Tribe,
Harv went to Howard. That's how we got the opening position. All right, we didn't have to be popular. It was who you know.
okay, okay.
All right, so let's not go there. We was no way popular as that group. Yeah, so we got to open up for them at Howard. You know, I didn't have too many dealings with him, production wise, but we would always bump into each other at the record spots, searching for records.
What are the names of these record stores?
There was A1,
Still there, by the way.
the Sound. Yeah, it's still there. The fact, I'm gonna go there next week. Sound Library.
Yeah.
There was numerous ones on Bleecker, down on Bleecker. I forget the names. Those was long ago. That was really before we was even in the industry. I used to go back in the late 80s when Pete Rock and them was starting out, Lost Professor, and I used to see them there. Yeah, and there was one in Jamaica, Queens on Guy Brewer called Green Line. Yeah, and I used to bump in that Tip there also.
Am I wrong, or was that close to another recording studio, Green Line?
Yeah, it was another recording studio right up the block from there. Right, I think on Union Hall Street. or somewhere. Yeah, was and the artists used to work there too. A lot of artists used to work there.
Tell me about some of those other producers. I mean, we're all fans. Large Professor, one of my personal favorites.
Me too. Me too.
He discovered little known rapper named Nas,
Yeah.
and you worked with Nas. Tell me about how you're watching all this and how it turned into working with him.
Like I said, well, the meeting with Chuck and then Stout being a neighborhood acquaintance, you know, brought me in on the Nas projects. Um, yeah, and I'm like, wow, I'm a fan of his, you know. Then I get to actually work, and we did 2 songs together, Small World and Project Windows. Project Windows on the album is not the version me and Carlos did, but the version me and Carlos did is on the YouTube. It is on YouTube, but it's not finished. I never finished it. So it's the pre-finished version, and we never finished it. So, but still, Small World, incredible record, man. If you listen to it, I urge everyone to listen to that record. It's an incredible record. Want to do much more with him, but we just never got the chance to. But he used to call me when he had projects coming out. It just never clicked again. But I'm proud of them. I'm proud of that record, and I'm proud of the original. I wish I could revisit the original Project Windows and do it again. That might be lost to history, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about Mace and Total What You Want.
Well, that song was done like in 15 minutes. Mace would come in my sessions in the MIDI room at Daddy's house. That's when Daddy's house was up and running, and he started playing records. And he played this record, Curtis Mayfield, I had laying around. In fact, I had just finished playing it. He plays it, and he was like, "Yo, Nash," he's like, this, loop this up. So I loop it up, and he spits the second verse, right, of that song. "Hey, mama, come over here to 5-5." He spits that, and I'm like, "What?" So he's like, "Hold on." He's like, "Keisha's in the other room. I'm gonna tell her to come in here and write a hook real quick." He goes to get Keisha. Keisha comes in the room. 5 minutes, she got the hook. Now the song is basically done. I just have to put the drums on it and produce it. But I don't do that until the mix down, like a couple weeks later. They do the vocals to the loop. I come in after them during the mix, scheduled mix. I produce the song, put the drums, I get a bass line. My man Prince Charles Alexander was the engineer. He got me a bass line player, put the bass on it, put that record to bed. I knew it was going to be a single. He had no other record like that on the album, because I'm there with him every day. I hear his album being made. He has no other record like that. So I'm like, that's going to be a single. And to this day, that's one of his biggest songs.
It's a great song, and you did a great job because you left it empty in a certain way and you made it bang, which is hard to do both, right?
The swing, it's the pocket. It's that pocket. It's the drums.
Yeah. And that's why you're good. Not doing too much is doing a lot.
See, and if I had done that night that we discovered that song, it wouldn't have came out like that. It took me a while to discover that pocket, and that's why it came out like that.
And it suited the vocals too, right? His
Yes.
voice went well with that production.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, you'll be surprised the impact that songs have. That helped me learn more about Curtis Mayfield. It made me want to get all the records.
Oh yeah, oh my God, Curtis. Sometimes there's a lot of songs I want to sample him, but I just can't. I'm just like mesmerized. I just like to listen.
He's one of the greatest, one of my personal favorites.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, we're talking about samples. I wasn't going to say the sample. Of course I know the sample. But when I do this show, I'd rather someone else brings it up. Would you prefer people don't talk about it?
What? Talk about the samples?
Yeah, I mean naming the loop.
Oh, that's the beauty of it. Because many people have used the loops I've used, but not the way I've used them. So that's the beauty of it. Yeah. I have no shame in naming the samples. I mean, I want to give them artists props also because without them I wouldn't have it.
You and that whole crew helped repopularize music to a new generation. I mean, I was pretty young hearing this stuff. I didn't know everything about Curtis Mayfield, so I was like, well, now I got to learn.
Well, you see, that's the beauty of it because you use these samples and then people want to know what the hell that sample is, and they go back and discover new artists, which are old artists, but new to them. And that's the beauty.
That sparked a lifelong journey for me, right? And the people who listen to this show, I mean, that's how it starts. That's a good
Yeah.
that's a good thing. You know, one artist we didn't talk about, Faith Evans, and the
hmm
song You Used to Love Me.
Yeah. So that was the first single, and I did the remix for that. The remix for that first single, which featured Puff, which was Puff's first time rapping on Bad Boy, but that also became the Locks You'll See. So that Faith remix, I get a chance again. This is early in my career. I get a chance to do the Faith remix on her first single. Bang. Kill it. Puff actually comes to me and says, I want to use I'm a Customer. But I actually flip it and go and actually do the remix. Right? Then he comes, brings a Chucky, put a little guitar spikes in it, and then delivers it to the Locks. I think he thought so much of it. Like, okay, this is not only a R&B remix, but it's a hip hop song also. I can use it. Gives it to the Locks, puts Big on it. History is made.
I love the Locks. I mean, so dope. They could all really rap. I mean, they were really good in that era. I mean, they're still going today. Very talented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, unusual thing when I was kind of reminding myself of some of the stuff you worked on, I saw a song, Bounty Killer, featuring Mobb Deep and rapper Noy.
Yeah. So I had to deal with Jive, I think he was with. I'm not sure. But Bounty Killer was an artist. And I got to meet Bounty Killer, have him in the studio for days. And this is the artists that my elders, the OGs in my hood that helped raise me grew up on, because they're Jamaican. They come from Jamaica. They straight out from the yard. And I got to work with Bounty Killer. And so I had this sample. Jay Garfield brought me this record. And I'm like, okay, I could use this for Bounty Killer. And I was like, you know what? I was doing something with Mob at the time. They wanted me to do the Quiet Storm remix at the
Crazy.
time. Yeah, I did that. I denied that. That was career ending. Remix for Quiet Storm. I'm like, they wanted to put Kim on the remix. I was like, just put Kim on the song.
Good idea.
And look what happened. They put Kim on the song. I'm like, I'm not touching that record.
One of the greatest remixes of all time. Nice
Right?
idea, Nashiem.
Yes. I brought that to Chris Lottie. Chris Lottie wanted me to do a new beat. I was like, nah, just use the same beat and put her on it. Are you kidding me? I'm not touching that record. That record was already a banger.
One of my all-time favorite remixes, and she destroys that beat.
Okay. So and the ill thing about it is, as soon as I get out the meeting with them, because I actually tried. I went in there and tried. Then I was like, "What am I doing?" Then I left. I told them, "Listen, just put her on the record as is. Add her on it." I walk over to Daddy's house from there, and she's out getting in her car in front of the studio, and I tell her, "Listen, they want you on the Quiet Storm remix." And she's like, "All right," so I holler at them, and that's how that came about. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to take credit for people's records. I had nothing to do with that record except that. It's just the idea of me doing a new beat was ridiculous to me. Yeah, but going back to the Bounty Killer, that's what I was doing with Mob. So I was like, why don't you I do this record. I brought him the track, and I was like, why don't you put Mob Deep on here with you? And he was like, all right. He was like, yeah, that sounds right. Because it was all around gun running, gun runners. So I was like, put Mobb Deep on there with you. And that's how that came about.
Oh, I mean, if you don't remember, it's the theme for Midnight Express.
Yeah, the people from Midnight Express, but it was on the Blade soundtrack.
Okay.
All right. So when I got an award for that went gold. If not platinum by now, but yeah, that went gold right away. It was on the Blade soundtrack.
Giorgio Moroder, theme for Midnight Express. Well, I'm glad it worked out for you. It's an unusual song in your catalog.
Yeah, I always loved that sample though. I always loved that song. I actually seen the movie. And that was the theme to the movie.
Well, I mean, this is an understatement. Good ear. I mean, you did something good with that. It went on to become even more famous. It went on to be sampled by Jay Dilla, used with MF Doom, used with Jay Electronica.
Yeah.
It's you caught it first. I'll say that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm proud of them things.
Yeah. Yeah. You got that ear. We've talked about your incredible life, incredible stories. I mean, we went on some tangents, wild tangents, right? So I'll ask you, what excites you at this time? What are you thinking about?
Um, what I can do next. I want to do my own projects with my own artists or with new artists and artists that's around. So what can I accomplish next? And I'm getting into a realm now where I'm discovering a new sound from myself due to all this technology we have. So once I get that to a certain expertise, I'll lend that to the world.
I like that. I like that. I mean, you've had a lot of success. You've been through wild ride of stories of different phases of life. I like the way you're thinking about the future too. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Nashiem, this has been a hell of an interview. I appreciate your time. Thanks for your time, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Peace.
All right, peace.